Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Miss Shirin, science teacher. Today I'm going to continue about chemical compound, which previously we talking about a compound which is classified into ionic compound and chemical compound. Today we are going to explain about acid and base. Okay, during this section we are going to explain about acid and base. What the acid and base, what their properties, what the important property of this. Would you like, and for example, in summer, especially in summer, we are drinking what? The fresh drink when you added what? Lemon. Okay, refreshing glass of acid. This is just get when you a glass of lemonade. As you know, the most popular refreshing glass is what? Lemonade. Okay. What a lemonade? Lemonade is contains substance that called what? Acid. Okay. So, lemon, it contains substance called what? Called acid. Okay. One property, the important properties of acid is what? Sour taste. But not only sour taste is telling us or indicated it is acidic. Okay? In this section, we will learn about the property acid and base, both acid and base. Okay? So, yes. Okay, some important property of acid. First of all, which is having sour flavor and changing the color of indicator. I'm going to explain in detail, but only the title you should know. No, reaction with metal and electrical conductivity. Okay, so acid and their properties. As we mentioned it before and previously, sour taste is not only property of acid. So there is some sign telling us it is acid or base. Okay, but now only we're talking about acid. Like what? Yes. For example, lemon juice. When you put lemon juice into tea, do this experiment. Okay. When you put lemon juice in tea, what happened to the color of tea? Does it change or not? Of course, it changes. The color became what? Lighter. The color of tea start to lighter. Why? Because of what? Because of acid. Clear? Which is changing the color. Changing the color, that means you put what? An acid into the liquid. Okay? Acid is any compound. Acid, what is it? Acid, we previously were talking about acid, which is it's a type of ionic compound or chemical compound. It's a type of it's a type of covalent compound, right? Acid increase what? It's very important, especially for national exam. Acid increase the number of what? Hydronium ion. Hydronium ion, H3, okay, yes. When dissolved in water, what time the number of hydronium ion is increased? When you dissolve in water, okay? Hydronium ion, when dissolved, which is hydrogen ion, separate from the acid bond, which molecule H2O to form hydrogen ion. Look at this one. Okay. Yes. We have HCl. What is HCl? HCl, it is an acid, right? When react H2O, okay? When you put HCl into water, now react. Form what? Look at its chemical compound, right? Okay. It's covalent compound, sorry. Look at the hydrogen. Where is go the hydrogen? Hydrogen separate from the acid, okay? And form a covalent compound which separated. Look, this is a national exam. An example of national exam, hydronium ion, look at it, form a hydrogen ion, separate from the acid and bonded with what? With hydrogen, hydronium ion, hydroxide, or water molecule. Which one is correct? Is a national exam. Which one? Of course, water molecule. Get it? So the answer, which one? Water molecule. Get it? So hydronium ion formed when hydrogen separate from acid and bonded with water. Clear? Okay. Let us go to having acid have a sour flavor. As we're talking about, is main property of acid. What is it? Sour flavor, but not only. Always it is the sour taste telling us it is acid or base. Okay, be careful. Have you ever take a bite of lemon? Sorry, when you take a bite of lemon, what happened to your face? Start to like this one, like the boy. What happened? Why? Because it's sour, right? Do you like lemon? Do you like it? Who like lemon? The boy figure one. Look at the boy. The figure one. What happened to the face in his faces? Start to change it. Why? Because it was tasted what? The sour flavor. This taste lemon and other strict fruit result of what? Result of citric acid. Why? Because of citric acid, that's lemon, and most of the street fruit contain which kind of acid? Citric acid. So this acid is useful or harmful? Of course, it's useful, especially for your health, okay? So we have another type of acid. It's harmful. They are poisoning. So you should be very carefully, okay? Don't touch it. Most of them, they are poisoning. Many acids are what? Corrosive. What does mean corrosive? Which means that destroy what? Destroy body tissue. That's why it's very dangerous. Don't touch it everything, okay? Or taste it. And clothing. And clothing and many other things are also poisonous. Most of them are poisonous. Only the citric acid, which is present in fruit and lemon, it is useful one. Okay? Yes. Let's go to the self-check, which is present. How hydronium is very important, okay, especially for national exam and for monthly exam, okay? Hydronium ion formed when hydrogen separate from an acid and bond with the water molecule. Get? Yes. Acid change the color of indicator. What is the indicator? We have two types of indicator. One of them is liquid. One of them is like a paper. Indicator is or telling us this substance or this liquid, it is acid or base. Okay? It doesn't need to touch it or to taste it. By indicator, we know this is acid or base. Okay? So we have how many types of indicator? Two. One of them is liquid, which is called bromothymol. Bromothymol, okay, the blue, which has a blue color, and the second one, which is called litmus. Okay. Substance that change the color is of the indicator, of an acid or base. It's an indicator. Okay. Look at the flux. Okay. Look at here. I'm going to explain. We have two flux. One of them is combination between the indicator, which is bromothymol, and water. Look at this flux. It contains what? Bromothymol and water. Bromothymol has which kind of color? Pale blue, which means white blue. Okay? It's not dark blue. When acid added, what happened to the color? Look at the color is changed into what? Change it into yellow. Why change it into yellow? Telling us that means you added an acid. Clear? Because bromothymol changed the acid into yellow. Clear? Okay. Let us go to another indicator, as I mentioned it before. It's litmus. It's like a paper. In Kurdish called kağıt globaloz. Okay, paper spread contain litmus available in both blue and red. Okay, look at here. Yes, for example, we have two beakers. We have litmus. It has two colors, blue and what? Red. How it's tested? This liquid, it is acid. How do you know it's acid? Because the paper, the blue paper turn into what? Red. Very good. Excellent. And this one is base. How do you know it's base? Because the red paper turn into blue. The litmus paper turn into blue. That's when it's acid contained in this beaker and acid is present in this paper, in this beaker. Okay? Clear? Okay, let's go. Acid react with metal. Does acid react with metal? Of course, most of acid react with metal, okay? Which is what? Acid with some metal produce what? Hydrogen gas. It's very important, be careful. Acid react with some metal produce what? Hydrogen gas. For example, hydrochloric can react with zinc metal produce what? Hydrogen gas. This is what? Hydraulic acid, okay? With react with what? With zinc. During this reaction, they produce what? Hydrogen gas. Clear? This reaction, zinc displays hydrogen and, okay. This displacement happened because of what? Why? Because zinc is what? It's an active metal. So, we have active metal or non-active metal, of course. Only active metal react with acid. Get it? And form or produce hydrogen. Clear? But element, for example, we have silver. Silver is metal, you know, okay? Put in hydrochloric, nothing will happen. Why nothing is happening? Because silver what? Is non-active metal, that's why. Get it? Okay. Yes. Yes, for extra information to know, we have some type of active metals such as sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, tin, and lead. And we have some inactive metal which does not react with metal, which is copper, mercury, silver, and gold. Okay, just for extra information. It's not included for national exam. Okay. So let's go to using of acid. Wait. Yes, acid conduct electrical current. It's very important. Acid what? What doing acid is very important. What doing what? Conduct electrical current. Which is what? When an acid dissolve in water, as we know, they form it what? Hydronium ion, right? They break apart and form ion in the solution. That's when form ion in the solution, that's mean what? That's mean conduct electrical current. Okay, that's mean most of the acid, they are what? Conduct electrical current. This ion possible for solution, conduct electric current. For example, you have sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid in Kurdish called tizab, okay, which is present in battery of car. Okay, battery is one example. This one, our car, it's start to drive it by what? Sulfuric acid. Clear? So, all acids are what? Conduct electrical current. Why? Because they form which kind of solution? Ion solution. Clear? Okay. Yes, let's go to using of acid. Some uses of acid. This acid you should be memorized, look like your name, because it's very important for national exam. You have, it's mentioned only sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, and we have what? Hydrochloric acid, hydrofluoric acid, citric acid, and carbonic acid, phosphoric acid. Okay, this names of acid memorizing, please, is very important for national exam. Okay, let's know each one how they using. For example, sulfuric acid, which okay, sulfuric acid, as mentioned before, is using for what? For battery, which is make ionic solution. Okay. Yes. And sulfuric acid, it is industrial and chemical word, and it's used in many products, include paper, paint, detergent, and fertilizers. Okay. We have another usage, nitric acid. Okay, nitric acid is made for fertilizer, rubber, and plastic. Okay, this one is very important to memorize. And hydraulic acid, the hydraulic acid they put in swimming pool. When you go to swimming pool, you smell what? Hydrochloric acid, yani chlor or chloric acid. Okay, so and hyaluronic acid is found in our body. Which part in our body? In digestive system, especially in stomach. Clear? It's a strong acid that help digesting. Clear? So let's go to another useful of acidic. Look at the picture. The picture is acted by what? Which kind of acid? Hydrochloric acid. Have you seen this picture is how much is nice. Okay, it's made by what? By an acid. Which kind of acid? Hydrofluoric acid. Clear? Using 2H class as shown in figure. We have citric acid and ascorbic acid. Okay, which is vitamin C. Vitamin C is very, very important. Okay, you should be taken. It's very important for your health, right? Are found in what? Orange juice. Okay, and it's found in what too? In lemons. Most citric acid is found in fruit. Get it? And the last one, carbonic acid. Carbonic acid and phosphoric acid help what? Give sharp and taste of soft drink. Look at the soft drink, how sharp and how its taste is very delicious because of what? Because carbonic acid or phosphoric acid. Okay, let's go to base. Base and their properties. Okay, what is base? Base is a compound that what? Increase the number of hydroxide what? Ion. Again, we hear about ion. That means the solution is formed. It's what? Conduct electrical current. Clear? Okay. When what? Dissolve in water. Again, when what? Dissolve in water. Clear? Only when dissolved in water they form an ion. Base form what? When dissolved in water? Hydroxide ion. But if you compare with the acid when dissolved in water they increase the number of what? Hydrogen gas. But when you base dissolved in water increase the number of what? Hydroxide ion. Okay, which OH negative. For example, hydroxide ion break apart to form sodium ion and so on. Look at here, NaCl. When break apart, they form what? Sodium and hydroxide ion. Okay, hydroxide ion is a very property. Okay, yes, let's go to some properties. Before go to some property, I have an okay. Look at this the example of national exam. Chemical compound that increase the number of hydroxide ion when dissolved in water. Which one? Which one is correct? Chemical compound that increase the number of hydroxide ion when dissolved in water. Base, acid, sodium chloride, and vitamin C. Which one is correct? Chemical compound that increase. Which one is correct? Which answer? Very good. It is base. Okay, let's go to having base have better flavor and sleepy feel. What does mean sleepy feel? يعني خزين. Okay, so the property base in solution is bitter at taste and sleepy feel. Bitter يعني طال. Okay, يعني feel. So if you have actually the bitter is taste. Yes. Also, you have slippery feel of a base. Have you taste or touch, smell? Never touch it. When you go to the lab, never touch anything, okay? Because it's like a what? Like acid base, it is poisoning, okay? And it is corrosive. So very careful, touch it, okay? Never touch it, never smile it, okay? So. Okay, if you touch it, you should be directly wash it by water. Okay, some example of base, which is very common every day we use it. What are these? For example, soap and what? Baking soda, which using for cleaning our teeth, and bleach and detergent is very commonly and using every day. So very carefully use it, okay? Why? Because it is poisoned. Base and change the color. Okay, base change the color of indicator. Again, we are talking about we have two types of indicator. One of it is liquid and the other one is like a paper, right? So, what like acid base change the color of indicator. Indicator turn and a different color present in the base do present acid. Look at the picture. For example, red litmus. We have, look at the picture again. This flax is contain only bromothiol and water, which has which kind of color? The pale blue. When you added a base, look at the color. It changes into what? Into dark color. That's mean telling us it's contain what? Base on the flax. Okay. For example, the color red litmus paper, but if you put red litmus into a liquid, change into blue. That's mean what? It is base included in the solution, okay? When you bromothiol color changes from pale blue into dark blue, that's mean it's base present in the liquid. Clear? So this is very important to know in the for national exam. We have another again important thing, which is base is like acid. They are doing what? Which is they forming ionic solution. When they form ionic solution, that's mean conduct electrical current. Okay? For example, this beaker is contain a solution which is a combination between base and water. This combination, which is increase the number of hydroxide ion. Okay, its ion is formed. That's why the lamp start to turn on. Sorry. Hydroxide ion actually a hydrogen amount and oxygen atom are bonded together negative charge. So base increase what? As I mentioned it, the number of what? Hydroxide ion. Clear? That's why. That's mean base and acid both they are what? They are what? Both they are conduct electrical current. Clear is very important to know. Why? Because both they form which kind of solution when you put in water? Form ion. Acidic increase the number of hydrogen, but base increases the number of hydroxide. Clear? Okay. Let's go uses of base. The uses of base. Please memorize the name. Again, I'm repeated. Memorize the names of base and acid which is mentioned in your book. Okay, it's very important for national exam. Clear? So, some of them is mentioned, which is sodium hydroxide is a type of what? Base or acid is a type of base. Calcium hydroxide is a type of what? Base. What about ammonia? Ammonia is a type of base. Be careful. And magnesium hydroxide, aluminum hydroxide, they are a type of what? Base. And they are useful for our life. Let's know how they're useful. Sodium hydroxide is a base that make what? That make what? Okay, so yeah, it's very important. And paper. Okay, and it's also used in the oven clean and produce unclogged drains. What about calcium hydroxide? It's using to what? Cement and plaster. Okay, which is using for making house. Ammonia. Ammonia is a type of what? Base or acid is a type of base. Does conduct electrical current? Of course, yes. Why? Because what? Because using which kind of solution? Ionic solution. Found in household cleaner and using to make fertilizer. Okay, what about magnesium hydroxide and ammonium hydroxide? Are using in anti-acid. Okay, in the anti-acid to track carefully safe interaction to produce. Remember, they are very harm touching very carefully. Okay. Thank you. Yes, thank you for listening, dear student. See you tomorrow, inshallah.